Let's call the November 4th Cupertino regular City Council meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Fruin?
Here.
Councilmember Mohan?
Here.
Councilmember Wong?
Here.
Vice Mayor Moore?
Here.
Mayor Chow?
Here.
And Mayor, I just want to announce that Councilmember Wong is participating remotely tonight, so I will request a roll call vote for all council actions.
Thank you.
And also, additionally, I will rely on Councilmember Wong to notify me of any members of the public wishing to participate remotely from that teleconference location.
Okay. Do we have any closed session report?
Thank you, Mayor. During closed session, the council discussed all the items on the closed session agenda, and there was no reportable action taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like we don't have ceremonial items today, but I do have some remark that the annual Veterans Day ceremony will be held on Tuesday next week, November 11th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Cupertino Veterans Memorial in Memorial Park. So the ceremony honors and recognizes veterans, active duty military personnel, and first responders for their dedication and service to our nation and the community. Each year we have this ceremony hosted by some volunteer veteran members, so we invite all of you to join us. And next we have a few presentations. First item is presentation from Toyokawa Sister City Delegation. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Beth Wickman, and I am the Vice President of Student Delegation for the Cupertino Toyokawa Sister Cities. And I am here with not only part of our delegation, but also some of the members and board members. And I am here to say thank you very much for your support of the 2025 student delegation. And I would like to introduce Larry Blair, who is the head chaperone for this delegation.
All right. Hello. My name is Larry Blair. I'm a teacher at Kennedy Middle School, and I was one of the chaperones this year on the trip we took. I would like also thank you very much for supporting the group that we have here. They hold a fundraiser every year. It's a Cherry Blossom Festival at Memorial Park. It's a 2-day event put on by all the volunteers who work for the Cupertino Toyokawa Sister City program. And thousands of people come to Memorial Park and visit Cupertino and experience all the Japanese culture and its glory. And it's a wonderful event. And it also raises all the funds that are able to support the trip that we take. So I'd like to introduce some of the people who are here today. The other chaperones, we have Elizabeth Fang and Laura Georgescu. We have 4 of the delegates. We have Sanvi and Chelsea and Madeline and Joya. And Joya's going to come up and say a few words now.
Hello, my name is Joya Kuo, and I'm an 8th grader at Miller Middle School this year. On behalf of the 2025 delegation, I would like to thank the City of Cupertino for your ongoing support. This year, we are celebrating the 47th year of our friendship with Toyokawa. We also had the 3rd generation of a Toyokawa delegate visiting Cupertino during this year's visit. When we went to Japan this summer, we stayed in Toyokawa for a 6-day homestay, and 2 of those days were spent at Ottawa Junior High School learning about Japanese student life. Some of my most valuable memories were spending our time with our host family, experiencing life in Japan with them, visiting all sorts of places that were part of their culture, such as shrines and temples, and we gained so much insight into their daily routines as students and citizens of Toyokawa. In October, when our Toyokawa delegates came to visit us in Cupertino, we also hosted our Japanese friends for 6 days, and they spent 2 of those days at Cupertino Middle School learning about American student life. Some of my highlights hosting them was when we went to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. We saw 6 or 7 other groups from the delegation there, and everyone had fun and made great memories. Aside from the cultural experiences gained from this exchange, we as delegates have all grown. At the beginning of our journey, we were all nervous to speak in front of a big group. However, during our most recent meeting, we are now all able to stand in front of our group and confidently share about our experiences. And because of that growth I gained from this trip, I am able to confidently stand in front of you all tonight to make this speech. Additionally, as a result of being separated by an ocean from our families for 2 weeks, all of us became more independent, cultivating self-reliance and responsibility. This will definitely have a positive influence in their futures. While our time in Japan was short, we are all still in touch with not only our host families, but also even the students that led us around the junior high school. We've built international friendships across oceans, and for that, we are deeply grateful for the city's support. I'd like to present this gift to Mayor Chow from the delegation.
Okay, should we all? Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you. So this is student delegation booklet. Oh, I think they present this every year to the city. So we will give it to the city to keep. Maybe I'll pass it around to each city council member. Thank you so much for the chaperones and the volunteers to keep this program going every year. It's really, really not easy to have the responsibility for so many students. And I have witnessed that this year that you have built a lifelong relationship and 3 generations of delegates together. So it's amazing that I hope that all of you keep that relation going. And yeah, so thank you. And next, we have a presentation from Hsinchu Sister City Delegation.
Good evening, Mayor Chow and City Council members. I'm Cha Chin-lin, the president of the Cupertino Hsinchu Sister City Association. Our mission is to strengthen the friendship between Cupertino and our sister cities. Hsinchu, through cultures and educational exchange, we're proud to share highlights of our recent program, being our 21st years of hosting an exchange program, recognizing our delegation team with myself and my Vice President Jenna San, Angela Chen, and also student coordinator Angelo Noguera. Our team have worked together to make this exchange meaningful and to serve our community and youth. In April, we brought 25 Cupertino students to Hsinchu for an unforgettable exchange experience. And just last week, we actually honored to host our 25 students from Cupertino, from Hsinchu, and also four adult delegation from Hsinchu. Tonight, I'm delighted to introduce our wonderful chaperones and students who make this experience so successful with us. We have 4 chaperones over here. We have Christine, Chris Nutter, David Chen, and Mike Jarvis. With that saying that, I'm going to introduce Harley, one of our students, to be our speaker to share the experience. Harley.
Hi, City Council members. I'm Harley. I am a junior at Monte Vista High School, and last week I was the host to one of the students from Hsinchu. And I'd like to say that this was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life, so I'll just give you some brief overviews. On the weekend he came here, I took him to a Halloween event that the city was hosting, Monster Mash. I was MC at that event, so we got to show him some events hosted by the city that was also Halloween themed. Same weekend, we also went to Philadelphia Gardens up on the peninsula, where we took him to an event called Nightfall, where they decorated the house mansion with Halloween decorations. So it was great fun, took lots of pictures. And then a highlight, well, I'm not sure if it was a highlight for him, but we took him to see school. it was a very exciting, very new experience for him to see us American school, which is very different as from Taiwan. And then, of course, the big highlight of the entire week was going trick or treating, which was nothing like anything I ever had in Taiwan. He told me that it was the best thing he's ever had to just walk around asking for candy, dressing up, talking with friends. Overall, it was just a great experience. Of course, there was a short period where it took some time to break the ice. But overall, I've gotten to know him a lot better. We became close friends. And yeah, overall, I think it was a great experience. And I think I speak for all the host families when I say I'd love to do it again. It was great, and I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Tom, and I'm a 10th grader at Cupertino High School. I am so grateful to have had the privilege of visiting Hsinchu, Taiwan, and hosting a student here in Cupertino. The Cupertino Sister City Association Exchange Program has opened my eyes to Taiwanese culture and allowed me to share the colorful culture of Cupertino. I would like to thank the City of Cupertino and the CHSCA for allowing students like me the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make lifelong connections with a diverse population. This program has also showed me what makes Cupertino so special, a community that values a diverse population, embracing learning and global friendships. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Nutter.
Hi, my name is Chris Nutter. I am a 5th grade teacher at Collins Elementary. There's a lot of worry nowadays with AI, what students face in the world ahead. I think that cultural exchange and travel truly make students AI-proof. Cultural exchange teaches you to be a guest and to be a host. As a host, there's an art to it. You must consider your guest, what they are interested in learning about your culture, and share it with graciousness. As a guest, you have to be flexible, patient, and really deeply interpersonal. All of these things are truly powerful experiences for students, and we thank you for all of your support.
Okay, yeah, really thank all the volunteers and chaperones. You are the ones who make it possible. And after 31 years, and how many years for the Toyokawa student delegation? It's, I think like 30 some years already. Yeah, it really takes a commitment from the volunteers to keep it going. Thank you for doing that, and I think the city is happy to support the student delegation, and thank the school district for supporting that. Okay, so next we have a presentation from Santa Clara Valley Water District on recent updates. So we have Darren Taylor, the Chief Financial Officer from the Valley Water District. And also we have Aaron Baker.
Yes.
From the Chief Operating Officer.
Correct.
Hi, welcome.
Hey, I'll share my screen. Are you ready?
Please, thank you so much for that.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much for coming down to give us the update.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and honorable council members. Thank you so much for inviting Valley Water to talk about some of the water charges and some of the key projects we have moving forward. Darren Taylor, the Chief Financial Officer, and me, Aaron Baker, the Chief Operating Officer of the Water Utility Enterprise, will be giving both this presentation. I'll start off with talking about some of the key projects in the Water Supply Master Plan, and Darren will end up with the numbers, the good stuff at the end. So so here, we're the groundwater manager and the primary drinking water wholesaler for Santa Clara County. Here in Santa Clara County, we actually use more water than naturally occurs. And over time, Valley Water has built local reservoirs in the county and executed contracts for importing water from outside the county. Cupertino primarily receives Valley Water treated water from our Rinconada Water Treatment Plant through your retailers, San Jose Water Company and Cal Water. It takes significant infrastructure to bring the water to you. Theoretically, the water that your residents are drinking today originated all the way from Lake Shasta or Lake Oroville. On the left side of this map, you'll see there's a call out for the Rinconada Water Treatment Plant. And from there, there's a green line that comes up. I know it's kind of small, but just imagine you can see it all, the green line coming up. And it shows that's the West Pipeline. And that West Pipeline is a large diameter pipeline that brings the treated water up to your community. Also up on that map, you'll see the Stevens Creek Reservoir. Now, although you don't receive water directly from the Stevens Creek Reservoir, that water is used to recharge the groundwater aquifer so the subsidence doesn't occur in the area. I'd also like to point out how much infrastructure there is in the north part of the county. The north part of the county is very urban and has a much greater water use in South County, and therefore it requires a lot more infrastructure to meet the water demands in the North County. Next slide, please. We have 4 charge zones, 1 in the north and 3 in the south. Cupertino is in the North County, and your retailers pay the same volumetric rate as all the others in the North County. Our wholesale rate is volumetric only, and it is not tiered. Every year in February, we prepare a detailed report called the Protection and Augmentation of Water Supplies. And in it, on our website, it goes into great detail on how we assign the charges to each zone and how we make up the groundwater charges that we're recommending for the next year. This report, again, is available on our website and comes out in every February. Next slide, please. One of the biggest things driving our rate increases is our very large capital improvement program. We need to make generational investments to ensure we have a sustainable water supply into the future. Due to climate change and decreasing imported water allocations, our water supply master plan shows that we will have a shortage during droughts in the future. How much of a shortage? Well, that depends on a lot of things, but I did want to talk about one thing that depends on you and the rest of the county, and that is requiring future development be water efficient. If we can have water efficient future development, then we may not need to invest in as many additional water supply projects in the future. On that note, I'd actually like to also thank the city for your commitment to conservation and water efficient growth. I actually did a little, just a little while ago, I was able to go to your website, and I appreciate all the conservation programs, including the links to Valley Water programs available on your websites, available to your community. Next slide, please. Water is essential to life in the industry. Reliable water supplies are needed for your community's drinking, sanitation, schools, hospitals, emergency services, parks, and community spaces. Your businesses and the economy depend heavily on a stable and resilient water supply. So what happens if we don't invest in a sustainable water supply? Well, as you can see on this slide, very bad things. Without investment, when the next drought comes, we'll have to implement extremely harsh restrictions that would lead to water rationing, leading to water shortages that would have billions of dollars of impact. Next slide, please. As I mentioned before, our massive capital improvement program is one of the key drivers in our rate increases. Our current existing infrastructure needs repair and retrofit to meet the latest safety standards. One of our most expensive improvements will be to our dams. Built to the standards in the 30s and the 50s, half of our dams require significant retrofit to the current estimated cost of about $3.4 billion. In addition to our dams, our Rinconado Water Treatment Plant, we're actually currently performing a significant retrofit of the facility to bring it up to the latest standards. And that will ensure continued safe, reliable water that actually your community is using right now. Not only do we need to reinvest in our existing infrastructure, as I mentioned before, we need new water supplies to offset how climate change is reducing our existing water supplies. We are looking to purified water as a new drought-resilient, locally controlled water supply for the county. To secure our future is not cheap. The project has an estimated cost of close to $2.6 billion. Lastly, we did recently decide to suspend our Pacheco Reservoir expansion project, and that will provide some relief in the rate projection, which I will now turn over to Darren, our Chief Financial Officer, to get into the numbers.
Thank you, Aaron. And so Aaron did a great job of talking about the cost drivers for the water rate projection that you're about to look at. And so if we move to the next slide, I want to talk about one of the other key drivers of the water rate projection, and that's the water usage projection. And this is a trend over time going back to fiscal year 14, and in the blue is the historical results. And this is water usage that translates to revenue for Valley Water. So So it's key to that. And you can see the impact of the last two droughts back in 15 and 16, and then again in 22 and 23, and the drop in water usage that we saw during those years as the community responded to calls for conservation. You can also see the impact of what a wet spring does when there's water, rain in the spring. People turn on their sprinklers later on, and so we see water usage drop in years like that. And so the orange is the estimated actual for FY25. We're seeing a rebound from the last drought, which is to be expected. We saw that during the last drought, a rebound afterward, and then our projection going forward in green. We've essentially got a fairly flat projection, a little bit of an increase that we're projecting in FY27, and then fairly flat. You can see a lower water use projection than FY21 and also back to FY14. And so one question that you may be asking yourself is, if water usage goes up, would water rates go down? And yes, in the near term, that's the dynamic. If water use goes up, water rates go down in the near term. But if water use is up in the longer term, then that could drive the need for more capital investment in the long term, which would put upward pressure on water rates in the long term. And vice versa is also true. If water rates go down or water use goes down in the near term, then that puts upward pressure on near-term water rates. But over the long term, that's a good thing because it would reduce the need for capital investment in the long term, which would put lower pressure on water rates in the future. Let's move to the next slide. And this one talks about the water rate projection. And so we've got the North County Zone W2 water rate projection here. This is a groundwater charge for the next 10 years. And so back in April, the board saw that baseline top row there. And so we were projecting 9.9% increases all the way out to FY34 each year in order to pay for the capital program that Aaron described to you earlier. As Aaron mentioned, the board made a decision to suspend the Pacheco project in late August. And so this is the slide that I showed the board in late August to show the impact of that suspension of that project. And so you see 9.2% rate increases per year through FY30 and then down to 6.8% after that. And then the table below that shows the M&I groundwater charge monthly impact to the average household. And you can see that how much that monthly charge would go up, driven by Valley Water's projected increases, and that does not include any increase that a retailer would layer on top of that. And so if we move to the next slide, I know that affordability is a concern, and so we wanted to talk a little bit about local assistance programs. I know that San Jose Water Company has a customer assistance program, which provides a 15% discount on the total water bill for eligible low-income customers. Likewise, Valley Water has a WRAP program, a water rate assistance program, budgeted at $1 million for this fiscal year and for next fiscal year. It was a program that started during the COVID timeframe, and then the board has continued that moving forward. We administer that through a partnership with Sacred Heart Community Services. And so they are the folks who set the eligibility standards and administer the program. And so if we move to the next slide, I'll just summarize by saying that Valley Water is in an era of investment, as Aaron explained. Infrastructure repair is needed for the existing system. Climate change is driving the planning efforts for investments beyond that. And the water charge projection was adjusted downward due to the Pacheco project suspension. And then one other thing that I want to touch upon is the cost containment measures that Valley Water has implemented recently to help reduce the water rate projection. And Valley Water paused 45 positions district-wide since February of 2024. So that's been ongoing now for a year and a half. That saves us $1 million per month. We have deferred capital projects. A couple of them are listed here. And we have submitted applications for an additional $1.3 billion worth of low-cost federal loans for the dam safety project that Aaron spoke about and the Anderson Dam seismic retrofit project. And with that, I will stop there. And if there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Thank you so much. We usually don't do questions for presentation. However, I think this is so important. I think we should entertain some questions for this, if anyone would like to ask. Councilmember Wang, and virtually.
Hi, thank you. Appreciate your presentation. Water is very important, especially given where we are. You spent some time talking about affordability, and that's going to be a huge issue given the number of folks that are on fixed income in our area. And what you listed was mostly about using outside subsidies. You also mentioned 45 positions were paused. What else is being done to drive down the cost structure of Santa Clara Valley Water District?
Excellent question. And I think one of the things is so we mentioned some of the operations things that we're working on. I think the hiring pause that we're in, and I think we've been working on trying to keep our operations budget trimming where we can there. The next part is because the capital improvement program is so massive, making sure that those projects stay on schedule and on budget is key to making sure that we don't have additional increases over what you've seen here. And so we are implementing, on taking on such a massive program, we're implementing additional controls. We're implementing additional programs and other things to make sure that we can keep these massive projects on schedule and on budget on the capital improvement side. And I will touch again on the operation side. We are, again, every year, we do a cost projection and we work with our staff to make sure that we are moving things forward. I will touch on a couple of other things. On the capital improvement program, we did push out a number of projects. We understand that we just don't have the money to afford some of these, and so we've got some of this deferred maintenance or some of those other things as we're moving forward. The other thing we're looking at is, of course, trying to maximize as many grants and other things as we can. Unfortunately, with the current administration, some of our federal grants aren't as lucrative as they were, but we are continuing to understand what that looks like, and again, we'll pursue those as the administration it flexes or changes or moves on moving forward. Darren, anything else on the cost cutting?
Thank you for sharing that. I encourage you to use more automation and AI in your back office so that you can actually reduce those costs at a scale. So thank you very much.
I should have mentioned that.
So anyone else? You have.
I can do a quick question.
Councilmember Mohan.
So thank you for your presentation. Just lots of good information in those charts. One of the things that I wanted to ask you was there was a chart with sort of the groundwater level being fairly stable for the next foreseeable future. Is that because you don't expect the weather to be as terrible as it was the last few years, or is it because of improved groundwater treatment?
I think you're referring to the water usage projection. Right, that's fairly stable out into the future.
I was looking at those green bars.
Yeah, the green bars. Yeah, that's the water usage projection, and so as I mentioned, the water use projection is what translates to revenue for Valley Water. So we're volumetric, as Aaron explained, in terms of the water rates, and so the water use times water rate equals revenue for Valley Water, which then pays for the cost to deliver the services that we provide. So. We've seen the ups and downs of water use in history, and so what we're projecting now is a lower water use than the high points in history, because what we're seeing is over the past couple of decades that water use has been slowly coming down, so we're continuing with that trend. We're projecting it out to be fairly flat into the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have some questions. So, as you mentioned, the Pacheco Reservoir is expansion is suspended. That seems to be like 1/3 of the capital project from this slide that I'm showing here. But then the year-to-year increase was reduced from 9.9% per year to 9.2% per year. How come we don't see like a 1/3 reduction?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, great question. So there's a couple things going on there. The Pacheco Reservoir project impacted more of the longer-term rate projection out beyond FY31 more so. The reason for that is a couple. One, we had a $500 million grant from the California Water Commission, and that grant would have been coming in those near years, the 27, 28, 29, and 30. So that's when we would have received that grant had the project happened. The other thing is that we were able to get a $1.4 billion federal WIFIA loan. And so one of the great things about that WIFIA loan is its flexible repayment terms, which allows you to push out the repayment of principal into outer years. And so those first few years, we had no principal payments occurring on that projected for that project. And so that really helped us reduce that near term, the next 10-year water rate projection for Pacheco. So when you remove it, that's why you don't see a bigger impact from the removal of that project.
Oh, but from the year 31, we do see
Yes,
about the
a bigger
third
there,
reduction. Oh, okay, thank you. Vice Mayor?
Sure. Thank you for the presentation. So I've been on the tour of the Anderson Dam a couple of times, and I would strongly encourage anyone that's interested in the water system to join the Water 101 Academy and become a water ambassador, and you can tour all of the various facilities, including the Advanced Purification Center. So Anderson Dam, just to put that in perspective and why that is so important to, for the region to have this completed. Could you talk a little bit about the size of this dam relative to all the others reservoirs?
Yes, thank you. Excellent. Thank you for bringing that up. So, well, I don't know if you noticed in the map, but Anderson Reservoir is actually kind of in the center of our system. And the great thing about Anderson is it's our largest reservoir. So all of our reservoirs could fit in that reservoir combined. Its storage is around 100,000 acre feet. The other great thing about Anderson is that it's plumbed into the raw water distribution system. So you can take water from San Luis Reservoir, store it in Anderson. Not only that, Anderson has local water. From Anderson, I can take that water, move it to Rinconado Water Treatment Plant, move it to other places, move it to recharge ponds, like the McClellan recharge pond we have, over there off Stevens Creek. And so you're able to take the water from that particular reservoir and move it all sorts of places around the county. You're able to store water in there, and not only that, it's our largest reservoir. We're very, very keenly excited to get the reservoir back up and running, as it's such a key part of our system.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, and one other thing. Thank you so much for mentioning the tours. If you all would love, we love showing you all what it actually takes to bring the water to you and what it takes to treat the water and all the great people we have working on it. So if you want to learn more about the Water 101 program, or you want to learn more, or Water Ambassador program, or get a special tour, whatever that is, please reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to take any of you all there.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah. So if anyone is interested in the tours, reach out to us. Maybe the city can arrange one. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Next, I believe we have postponements and orders of the day. So we had a request to reorder items 12 and 13, right? To move item 13 for active transportation plan earlier, because we have consultant here waiting for that item. So I'll just move to move here item 13 before item 12.
Moore, second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Fruin?
Aye.
Councilmember Mohan?
Aye.
Councilmember Wong?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Chow?
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Then we have the oral communication. City Clerk, please.
Yes, Mayor, certainly. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the council on any matter within the jurisdiction of the council and not on the agenda for discussion. The total time for oral communications will ordinarily be limited to 1 hour. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes. As necessary, the chair may further limit the time allowed to individual speakers or reschedule remaining comments to the end of the meeting on a first-come, first-heard basis, with priority given to students. In most cases, state law will prohibit the council from discussing or making any decisions with respect to a matter not listed on the agenda. A council member may, however, briefly respond to statements made or questions posed by speakers. A council member may also ask a question for clarification, provide a reference for factual information, request staff to report back concerning a matter, or request that an item be added to a future city council agenda in response to public comment. And Mayor, I have 4 requests to speak currently in Community Hall. I see no requests to speak virtually, so that's approximately 12 minutes. Okay. First, we have Peggy Griffin, followed by Belinda Hantut, followed by Rhoda Fry. Anyone wishing to provide comments, please submit your request to speak in the next 9 minutes. Welcome, Peggy.
Do I have to? Good evening, Mayor Chow, Vice Mayor Moore, council members and staff. I just wanted to say thank you. I've been gone for a while, came back and went down Alves and Bandley, and it was being used for people walking. I saw some bikes. I hope that wherever the RVs went, that they found a place that was safe. I'm an RV owner, and anyway, I wanted to thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. Next, we have Belinda Hantout, followed by Rhoda Fry, followed by Jenny. Welcome, Belinda.
Hi, thank you. Good evening. Could I get the overhead projector on, please? Thanks. You guys are super. You saw me coming. Good evening, Mayor Chow, Vice Mayor Moore, and Councilmember Fruin, Councilmember Ron. And where's Councilmember Wong? He's not on the screen, but he's there. I've spoken a couple times now, and I kind of haven't told you who I am. So my name is Belinda. I've been street homeless in Cupertino for 2 years now, and I really want to move the conversation of homelessness from a law enforcement response to a educational response. And I know you folks are really focused on education, because I see how many students go to your math Olympiads at Creekside Park. I see 4th graders there at 7 o'clock at night. That's pretty impressive. And there was a 4th grade teacher here and a 7th grade teacher, I believe. Middle school is like one of the worst places for a teacher, I got to tell you. I couldn't survive there. I am still certified to teach in Arizona. I'm a special ed teacher and an elementary teacher, so I can teach every grade. That's why I think education is so important. You think about it, you have just a time period when you're between 18 and 24 to be educated for the rest of your life. We got to re-educate people. And my ideas aren't to drive any kind of competition. I spoke about a cafe and a night owl lounge. These are minimal menus, so it's not a competition for any local business. This is a educational facility that I have been talking about. I'm going to end there because I know you guys are really busy, but I'm going to stop by every once in a while and keep talking about this. I appreciate you listening. Good evening.
Thank you, Belinda. Next, we have Rhoda Fry, followed by Jenny.
Hi, good evening, council members. Want to address a couple of things this evening. One is a legislative update with respect to De Anza College, and the other is about light pollution and public nuisance from public storage. So regarding legislative update as how it impacts us here in Cupertino, as you may know, De Anza College is, I think it's 112, 120 acres. It's like double the size of the Velco property, so it's pretty big. We don't really have jurisdiction over them, but there's a couple of things that have happened in Sacramento that do impact us. One of them is that college properties for building housing will no longer be impacted by zoning. So, for instance, at the McClellan apartments that were purchased by the district, if
the community college chooses to build a high rise there for international students as a public-private partnership, we don't have a leg to stand on. So my advice to council and staff is to make friends with the district, because that's the only leverage that we will have to protect the values of the neighbors. And I don't live adjacent, so I don't have any skin in this game, just to let you know. The other one is, this came up around 2019, and it was actually voraciously fought by the residents of Los Altos Hills, but you may not have been aware that another bill will be coming back, proposed by Mr. Berman, Assemblymember Berman, regarding having students live on campus in their vehicles. And so I kind of wonder about light pollution, noise, and whatnot. And again, if this goes forward, if it's approved, I think that we need to make friends with the College Board so that us residents are not impacted. The other thing, so I'm really talking about residential impact, and I do also appreciate what Peggy was saying. I don't live near where there were a lot of RVs, but I did find it difficult to turn sometimes because they were really big when I was going out onto the road. Anyway, regarding public storage. So it is illuminated at night. It's not just the signage, it's these fake windows. And at the time that the sign was approved, it was not revealed to you that those windows were actually fake. They are not functional, and they cause light pollution. We have a bird safe ordinance, so it's not being listened to, but it's also a public nuisance, and I think it exceeds the square footage that would normally be allowed for signage. And in my book, it's signage.
Thank you, Rhoda. Next we have Jenny. And then we will move to those members of the public requesting to speak virtually. There are two. Welcome, Jenny.
Okay. Dear council members and residents and guests, and this try to brought the issue actually mentioned several times over the years. Typically, during the COVID, after COVID, actually it's more. And this city actually have a vision or strategy is about transparency and public connection. And I will just look it up. I think everyone can see that. Engagement, yeah. And I brought this issue before about for the long-term residents. I talked to several people recently. They all agree with me. Before, they used to have the open door policy and also have an open door office hours. And for the executive branches, the manager, attorney, city manager, city attorney, and council members, and they even have a city manager and the mayors right in the front road, always there, just greeting with residents. So this is very important for the connection with the residents. And right now, every door basically have this lock there, and you try to call the city. It doesn't matter, even the secretary, you can't even reach them. And quite a bit I heard was remote working. And the study says a lot of those remote workings, the efficiency is very low, and some should even take a couple jobs at the same time. And all the company basically are really promoting people to come back to the office to work. And I've been brought this issue actually quite a long time, so it's time for the city to do that. And otherwise, disconnect with the residents. And for past several years, I tried to schedule a meeting, and it just never happened. And also the same when I tried to call the whoever tried to leave the message, and I don't got call back, and usually not, probably one of 100, maybe that kind of rates. So that's not acceptable, this city. So, and I like to see this thing be done soon possible, because it's long past COVID time. And if you go to other public agency, and they don't have this lock kind of door everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. And now we will move to those members of the public requesting to speak virtually. San Rao and Lisa Warren are requesting to speak. Welcome, San.
Good evening, Mayor Chow and council members. I'm speaking on behalf of myself only as a Cupertino resident. I'm asking the mayor to please direct staff to publish when the council hearing occurred to hear the vacating of the public right-of-way for Mary Avenue. I believe the process is defined in the application by Public Works. I have sent you a past precedent from 2010 and 2013 when previous public right-of-way was vacated. And those involved council hearings. In fact, there were 2 council hearings, and those need to be at least 15 days apart. And there needs to be community noticing. And this needs to be followed by a resolution. And I do not see any of that in the years leading up to this, unless this occurred several years ago, which I don't believe is the case because the vacating of Mary Avenue did not occur until just before the housing element. If I'm not mistaken, this was mentioned previously that this was in 2023, but it was on no agenda in 2023. And so I'm requesting you to please firstly publish what sequence of steps were followed so that the public can follow and understand that. And secondly, if the steps followed did not adhere to the prescribed requirements, to consider what the next steps here are. If you have to declare that process as null and void and repeat the process again, I'd like to hear what the city council is looking to do in this case, at a minimum, maybe to clarify to residents and perhaps to address if there were some shortcuts that were taken. And secondly, I think it is important to address the questions I've sent earlier on the financial aspects of this. I'm sure at least some of you on council are or can be students of ground leases and obligations on a ground lease should the holder of the ground lease actually be insolvent financially. And so if Charities Housing were to not be able to operate the property in a self-sustaining manner, what obligations does the city have? And these are items that really need to be studied in detail. I request you to either direct it to the Planning Commission for a study session or to have multiple study sessions at council, because as council members, you have a fiduciary responsibility to the city to make sure the city is not dealing with a situation like the county is today. It's a fitting day today to talk about this because we are dealing with a measure, a ballot measure vote to bail the county out of a financial situation that is their own doing. And perhaps the city will be dealing with this in a few years. If Charities Housing cannot sustain the property, what are the obligations to the city? So please do not move forward with Mary Avenue without these important issues being addressed. Please schedule study sessions. Please do not bring the lease and disposition as the next item on this sequence. Thank you.
Thank you, San. Next, we have Lisa Warren. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Hello. I just hearing Rhoda speak. I can't say I'm reminded because I see it all the time of the problem at public storage, where the windows are very real and the lights are very real. The doors are fake. When there was a discussion about the extra signage and then permission given for that, the woman who spoke at the time admitted, and sheepishly I remember, admitted that, yeah, those doors are fake. There is absolutely no reason for that corridor. That square footage is wasted. And it's light pollution. And, you know, the argument from day one when they were presenting this new project at the time, the trees are going to hide a lot of this. It's going to be great. Well, the trees are not doing the job. The trees are not all well. With drought, etc., they're going to go away, potentially. And I really wish that that had been addressed at the time that the approval was given to have the additional sign, because it's unnecessary. And not only that, it's a waste of electricity. And anyway, I was reminded by Rhoda, and I agree that should not have happened. If there's a way to buffer it now, that would be really great. Or just tell them to turn out the lights. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And Mayor, no additional requests to speak on this item?
Thank you. So first of all, I would like to, I think when one speaker was talking about trying to schedule a meeting and there was no response, it's because there is a legal case with the city, so the city could not, none of the council members can communicate on a legal case. And I think we have been very open. Anyone who can email, if you call, we respond, and we have the mayor's chat. And the staff has always been very responsive. So I think this is, yeah, so, yeah. And so city attorney, could you talk about the Mary Avenue vacation? Is there any easement that needs to be vacated?
There has never been a plan to have any vacation of the Mary Avenue property, and so the city hasn't acted in that way, and that action isn't expected to be coming in the future. We don't think a vacation is necessary.
No, I think is there even any easement that is? It's a city property. Easement is when some private property give the city easement, so we use it for public purpose. So is there any easement at all on the property?
I don't believe there is an easement on the property.
Yeah. So there is no easement to be vacated.
Correct.
Yeah. And regarding the other issue about in case charities housing cannot operate, the city council already discussed that in closed session, and that we have all considered those consequences.
Yeah, things are under consideration with the council.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Now, no other comment. Let's go to the consent agenda item. And any item needs to be pulled. So there is no request to pull any item, right? So may I have a motion? Oh, that's public
Motion to
comment
move
first.
consent.
Yes, Mayor, I have one request to speak virtually.
Yeah, this is item 6 to 10.
Jurish Toby, welcome.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
If you could speak a bit louder, we're having difficulty hearing you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Girish Tobi. I am the resident of Cupertino.
It's hard to hear you. Can you lean closer to the mic?
Can you hear me now?
Barely.
Is this better or no, not yet?
It's when you say, "Can you hear me loud?" Now you were louder, but then when you asked, "Is it better?" It was now barely audible. And we can barely hear it. So you need to speak loud and close to the mic.
My name is Girish Tobi. I am the resident of Cupertino. I hereby today respectfully oppose the proposed multi-story housing project on Mary Avenue. Mary Avenue is already heavily used corridor. It connects the residential neighborhoods, schools, parks, and the commuter routes. Every morning and afternoon, you will see children walking or biking to school.
Mayor, this is regarding Mary Avenue.
Yes.
So we already opened for oral communication, and this is a comment for the consent items. And Mary Avenue is not one of the items.
Mayor, he did have his hand raised, and then he lowered it and raised it again during consent. So he did have it raised before the cutoff.
During oral, okay.
Oral,
yes. Yeah, that's allow him to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, please continue.
Okay, thank you. So the Mary Avenue is already...
Oh, this is now better.
Okay. The Mary Avenue is already a heavily used corridor. It connects residential neighborhoods, schools, parks, and commuter routes. Every morning and afternoon, you will see children walking or biking to school, parents dropping off students, and elderly residents using the sidewalks and crosswalks. Adding a large-scale housing complex to this area will significantly increase traffic congestion and create a serious safety hazards for pedestrians and cyclists. The proposed development will bring hundreds of new vehicle trips each day onto street that was never designed for such a volume. With the limited visibility near the intersection and the existing bike lanes, the risk of accidents, especially involving the children and the seniors, will rise sharply. So some of the council members I personally helped during the election campaign, going door to door. Now I expect you to help us to drop this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, no additional requests to speak.
Is it?
I believe you submitted that after the cutoff, however, after the. Mayor, do you want to, do you wish to?
Are you commenting on the consent item from 6 to 10?
It would be a non-agendized matter, Mayor.
Oh, yeah, so that's not the current time. Next time, submit your comment card during the oral comment, and the cutoff is usually the first 90 minutes. So submit it as soon as you enter the building would be the best next time. Thank you. So may I have a motion?
Moore, I move the consent calendar items 6 through 10.
Second.
Second.
Okay, let's vote.
Councilmember Fruin,
Aye.
Councilmember Mohan,
Aye.
Councilmember Wong,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Moore,
Aye.
Mayor Chow.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
Okay, so next we have item 11, which is the Muni Code amendments to building codes and standard fire codes to be consistent with Assembly Bill 130. And we are also making some local exemptions as so. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to introduce Community Development staff with the Building Division to present the triennial code adoption of the 2025 California Code of Regulations as required by the state to amend Chapter 16 of the CMC. So this item is to present updates to the building code and fire code for consistency with AB 130. Staff have also submitted a desk item today to address some of the inquiries we've received. With that, I'll turn it over to Deshaun.
Pardon, Mayor, before they begin, would those desk items be under supplemental reports or written communications, the responses to questions?
City Clerk, can you confirm where the desk items will be found?
The items for today were submitted as a desk item.
So for member of the public, where can they find it online? I think for us, it's here.
Yes, it's included in the same location as the agenda, where the agenda is posted. Just off to the right, there's a written communications column, and it is one PDF that contains each item. There's a cover sheet that would identify it's for item 11.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I'm going to stand up here because we're having some mic issues, but hopefully that's okay. So good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, honorable council members. My name is Sean Hatch. I'm the building official for the city of Cupertino. Tonight, we are here to present. Well, I don't mind standing, if that's okay. Heck. Tonight, we are here to present the staff recommendation for a state-mandated action the adoption of the 2025 California Building Standards Code, also known as Title 24. This represents a comprehensive update to all 13 parts of the code, which governs the safety, sustainability, and resiliency of construction in our city. I'm accompanied tonight by a few individuals that have helped me prepare this update to Chapter 16 of the Cupertino Municipal Code. They're here to assist with any questions you may have about our proposed local amendments. First, I have Fong DeVries here to my right. She's our deputy building official who oversees the permit center and plan review functions. And over here to the side, we have Santa Clara County Fire Chief Hector Estrada, and we also have Fire Marshal Matthew McKenna. Thank you for coming. And they'll help answer any questions you may have about the fire code amendments. We are also, of course, supported by our director, Benjamin Fu. Yeah, right. So let's get started. I have a quick presentation, to introduce our ordinance and highlight changes made to various chapters of our municipal code before we open it up for questions. So as a brief background, the state of California updates its entire suite of building codes, known as Title 24, every 3 years. I think a few of us were here last time, went through this. The state law then requires all cities and counties to adopt these new codes to ensure that construction standards are uniform, modern, and consistently applied across California. This regular cycle allows us to incorporate the latest advancements in building science and respond to emerging challenges like climate change and seismic safety. Our action tonight ensures Cupertino remains compliant with state law and continues to protect our residents with the highest safety standards. So, along with the state mandated codes, each jurisdiction also adopts local amendments necessary to address any local geological, topographical, or climatic conditions that pertain to Cupertino. Cupertino's local amendments are mainly carryovers from the previous code cycles. However, I will highlight some changes made during the code cycle. These local amendments are discussed through local building, that's what's on the slide here, local building and fire code groups and committees, and endorsed by other jurisdictions in our area to maintain a consistent set of regulations throughout County of Santa Clara and the Bay Area. Slide 4. So we'll get started just to point out kind of the major highlights. So the first one is chapter. We are adopting the 2025 California Wildland Urban Interface Code in its entirety, with one important local amendment proposed by Santa Clara County Fire Department to address the exception for certain open spaces. Previously, the WUI requirements were in different code sections within the residential code, the building code, and the fire code. So this is a nice improvement to have all the information in one book. Next slide, please. Next, we have Chapter 1640, where we adopt the 2025 California Fire Code, along with local amendments developed by Santa Clara County Fire Marshals Association and endorsed by the Santa Clara Fire Chiefs Association to ensure the highest level of fire protection in our community. These same amendments have been provided to all cities within Santa Clara County Fire Department's jurisdiction, which include Campbell, Los Gatos, Los Altos Hills, Saratoga, and Monte Sereno, to be adopted to ensure consistency in the enforcement. Next slide, please. And then following is Chapter 1654, which adopts the 2025 California Energy Code. As you know, Cupertino has been a leader in promoting building electrification. I am pleased to report that the new state energy code has now incorporated many of the make-ready provisions we had previously adopted as a REACH code replacement. This allows us to streamline our local code by removing amendments that are now the state baseline. We will, however, retain one key local amendment to maintain our higher standard for electrical readiness in non-residential buildings for future installation of an electric heating appliance. Next. The next is is where we adopt our 2025 California Green Building Code. The amendments to this chapter are to update the electric vehicle amendments that were adopted in 2019. With the approval of the city's housing element, the city is required to adjust the residential EV requirements to match up with higher standard within the voluntary Tier 2 of this code. These amendments will require a dedicated 40-amp branch circuit in all new single-family homes and townhomes. And I also need to note at this point, too, is preparing for this, we kind of found a correction where to the proposed ordinance. Due to a clerical error, the Tier 1 voluntary requirements were incorrectly applied as Tier 2 requirements to hotels and multifamily projects. And so and that's not required per the housing element. So there are no Tier 2 requirements for these type of projects. So the only Tier 2 kind of improvements will apply to single-family homes and townhomes. So I just need to note that, I guess, that we need to make sure we revise that section. Next slide, please. And the final highlighted local amendment is Chapter 1680. This chapter has been amended to codify all the placards used to enforce the state and municipal code requirements. The chapter previously only included the placards used when performing safety assessments after events causing damages to structures. We have expanded to include the building division's stop work order used for unpermitted construction and for the notices posted by the Code Enforcement Division. Slide 9, please. So next is the timeline. So the timeline for this adoption is set by the state. The new codes were published on July 1st of this year and will become effective on January 1st, 2026. Tonight is the first reading of the ordinance. We will return on November 18th for the second reading, and with your approval, our local amendments will take effect in coordination with the state on January 1st, 2026. Next slide. In conclusion, this code adoption is a necessary and beneficial action that keeps Cupertino compliant with state law and protects our community with the most up-to-date standards for safety, sustainability, and resilience. Therefore, staff respectively recommends that the City Council conduct the first reading of the ordinance to repeal the 2022 codes, adopt the 2025 California Code of Regulations, Title 24, and approve the accompanying local amendments as presented. Next. Thank you for your time and consideration. That concludes the presentation, and we are now happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any council member has questions?
Mayor, may I make one correction? I misstated earlier. The desk item is located under the column entitled Supplemental Reports, which is alongside the written communications column.
That's what I kind of
Same
thought,
format with the cover sheet for item 11.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So nothing from council member Walton. Is there Vice Mayor? You
Okay, it'll take me a second to pull up my report. So thank you for responding to all of the questions that we had and providing the reasoning, the rationale. And I know that you got quite a few pretty late. So there was a response to my question about the appeals part, and I wasn't really sure what was being advised or suggested regarding that. If you could highlight that. I was kind of wondering, what are we giving up with these changes, and is that something that we want to address tonight or bring this back in the future?
Yeah, I think the initial response was to maybe bring it up in the future. You know, I was just, all we're adopting is the code baseline for the appeals board. Currently, we don't have an appeals board that's established, and so it actually is City Council that acts as our appeals board at the moment. And so, yeah, your comment certainly expands on those, expands on the setup of that board and how it operates, which is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, and it's something maybe to have a little more study on before we just jump in and add it in to the code, I guess.
Okay.
Was kind of my initial thought, right?
Okay, and I don't know if our city attorney had a chance to look at this. Maybe not, because it came in kind of around noon today. So it is with regards to the appeal board, and it would be an added section into the municipal code. And there were some suggestions for how to implement that. So I'm going to keep looking for, I want to be able to share screen so I can share that before this item's over, but I think that addresses the question part, and then when we get to deliberations, I can share the screen and show that. So what it may be is that maybe early next year, if there is some support from the council to look into this, that they would be interested in having some specifics about the appeals board added to the code.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? So
Public comments.
okay. I have some questions, so I was trying to think.
Yeah.
So I think there was a question of how come this item didn't come to Planning Commission. So we update this every 3 years. Last time
Correct.
it was 2022.
Yep.
And traditionally it didn't go through Planning Commission because it's usually just we update whatever the state update.
Yeah, the California Building Standards Commission every 3 years updates the state mandated code. And so my understanding is, we're able to make our own local amendments, meeting the topographical, climatical, geographical reasons, or you can choose not to, and then you're just forced as a city or a county to adopt the base code without any local amendments. But yeah, historically, we've never gone to Planning Commission for
and
input.
historically, we also will adopt the TUCC recommendations.
It's just a committee that we attend with our local building officials to discuss code items, just to ensure that we're in a uniform kind of mindset in the interpretation of items. They don't give us code amendments or.
Also, was no recommendation from them.
No. Yeah, not for this go around.
Okay,
No.
Reading the staff report, I saw there was some recommendation from them.
If the only one off the top of my head is the ones that kind of endorsed by all local jurisdictions as far as the use of like gypsum board or certain items in the structural elements that we've amended in our code, but that's been, I've been here 14 years and those have been the same amendments in there since I started, so.
Okay.
But, I know they endorse those, but it's really just an endorsement. They don't necessarily generate those. We got those from the structural engineer kind of committee that it was certainly more.
Okay. So I think we have gotten some comments of concern about potential increase in cost for even partial renovation of homes. So I guess especially I think we have stronger higher standard for fire severity zone. And so has there been any kind of estimate on how much it might increase the cost for?
I think that might have been when we were adopting our new wildland urban interface map. I believe that was part of the study done by the state fire marshal in relation to that study to impose that, but I don't have that as part of my code adoption at this time.
I mean, it's a good practice. We do want a higher standard, but I think as a city council, we do want to have some idea how much burden this might put on certain people and who are in the zone. And so do we have any study or estimate either?
So if I may bring up the fire chief.
Yeah, let's bring up the expert.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Hi, welcome.
Sorry I walk a little slow when I've been sitting for a while. Great question. This is actually one of the things that's top of mind. I was in Sacramento yesterday for the Zone Zero release. They did not release it. They're still working on it. One of the topics that they talked about especially was the cost, with a consideration of how much it costs in comparison to standard upgrades. I have been using one document that I have found to be very useful. It is a document by Headwaters Economics and IBHS. I did provide it to different cities. I think I probably did as well, and there was some of this information during the LRA map adoptions process. So, Sean, question for you real quick. The standard 7A requirements are in place currently. Okay. So with the baseline requirements for Chapter 7A standards, those are the standard hardening, normal home hardening for homes that are being built new. And then also anything that hits that threshold where it goes over a certain square footage, where it's a large enough addition, it's considered as a new construction. That would be the trigger for this standard. There is a California specific number. There are 3 categories within this report, and I will provide it to staff, and that can be sent to you. We're using it in Saratoga, Los Gatos, and a few of the other West Valley cities, so it's a consistent piece of information that they'll have at their disposal as well. So the baseline standard is Chapter 7A. That's the guideline, because there is no below that. So from that baseline, there's an enhanced standard, which is Chapter 7A, and some work around the home in that Zone 0 area. And then there's an optimum, which includes a lot of extra enhancements around the water line or drip line for the roof. If you have a deck, enclosing some things, so things that we would definitely consider extraordinary. And so from that baseline, in Northern California, and I think the standard home size is about 2,600 square feet. It is in the document. It's a pretty well detailed document. The cost increase is about 2,800 over the baseline to go from Chapter 7A to the first level of enhancement. The overall increase from what would be no standards at all, just regular building standards, to the Chapter 7A is about $24,000, and that is Northern California costs. These are very reputable sources, and they did really good science, so I'll provide this for you. So the information there is based on what home costs are here in Cupertino and throughout this entire West Valley area. This is actually a pretty small addition. So you're getting something less than $10,000 in most cases. And this is the asphalt roof to a metal clad roof. So there's a really big, because there already is about, looks like about $12,000 for a baseline roof that you have to get anyway. It's the supplemental amount that I'm talking about, just to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that answers your
that's
question.
That's good to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you.
It's all right. Thanks.
And Councilmember Fruin.
Mine is more just a simple clarification. First of all, I want to thank you for having answered so many questions that are in the supplemental. I realized that there was a relatively short timeline for that, but they're very much appreciated, especially because we have so many people in the public who will take a lot of time to digest these reports and then throw you a curveball. But the one that I wanted to get some clarification on is in your answer to question 3, it's point 3 regarding the roofing replacing mandate. In the staff response, it says the proposed amendment. Is that a reference to the amendment that the commenter is offering, or the proposed amendment is the local amendment that is before us today?
It's the local amendment before us today. Yeah,
Okay.
just requiring that if you replace 50% or more of your existing roof, that it would be required to be a Class A roof.
Got it. And that's consistent with most of the other neighboring cities that also are in the urban wilderland interface and have some of the same problems. I noticed that Los Altos Hills isn't listed on this list.
I think that was maybe just my typo and answering it in a
No
quick
worries.
manner. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You got it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to thank you for giving really detailed answer for the questions that I sent this morning. But then it was thanks to the public who sent in specific questions about different items, and I really appreciate that you addressed each of them individually. I think that would be really helpful for those who want to know what exactly changed for the chimney, for the different part, for the pool. Yeah. So thank you. Really appreciate that.
No problem.
So no more questions. Let's go to public comment.
Yes, Mayor, I have 3 requests to speak in Community Hall. Actually, I have 2 requests to speak in Community Hall, and I see 1 hand raised virtually, so about 9 minutes. Rhoda Fry, followed by Jennifer Griffin. Welcome, Rhoda.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Kind of not very.
Yes.
Is the mic
Oh,
on?
there I am. Okay.
No, yeah.
Anyway, I haven't read all of it, although I do have a lot of trust in our building department, especially our building official, Sean here. He's awesome. And I want to talk a little bit about the roof issue, because this is something that is actually near and dear to my heart. As some of you know, my husband's a general contractor who builds new homes, additions, and remodels. And one of his really good jobs was actually in Portola Valley for a new home. How did that new home come about? There's a fire at the neighbor's house. It spread to the nursery of our client. They got out just in time with their baby. And they had to build a new house. And it was emotionally tough. It's a nice new house, but it was emotionally very difficult and really unnecessary if the appropriate preventive measures had been in place. So let's look at shake roofs. You know, we have all of these requirements about don't have weeds, right, in your garden. But shake roofs are really flammable. And so if my neighbor has a shake roof and they just keep on patching it, it's a hazard not just to them, but also to me. So when we're saying, hey, you know what, at some point when you get the 50% level, replace that roof. And by the way, Class A roof, you can have asphalt. Asphalt is the least expensive roofing material that you can find. So I don't have an issue with it, and I hope you all don't have an issue with it. I see some of you nodding, appreciate that. You know, public safety is really important. And this doesn't even impact, you know, this isn't just about the WUI zone, the wildland urban interface. This is about any place, because your neighbor can have a kitchen fire and cause your house to burn down. And people can lose their lives, they can lose their homes, and they can lose, it can be devastatingly an emotional thing. Yeah. So anyway, thank you, and appreciate what you do. Some of the green building stuff can be kind of onerous, especially having to subscribe to Green Halo. But it is what it is, so I thank you.
Thank you, Rhoda. Next, we have Jennifer Griffin. Welcome, Jennifer.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Jennifer Griffin. I hadn't planned to speak on this tonight, but I saw that you had AB 130, and that kind of brought up danger signals for me. I just wanted to verify which AB 130 this is, if this is the notorious bill that Buffy Wicks started out with, which was, I think, AB 609 earlier this year, and then the governor snatched that bill up and put it into the trailer bill in June and July, and then basically messed up CEQA. Is this the bill that we're talking about, AB 130? Can I verify for 2025? Okay, that's good. I need to know that because there are I'm a bit confused about what we're adopting in AB 130 because it is a notorious bill. Yes, I understand it had a lot of other things in it. We were watching it, but then the governor snatched it and did something very bizarre. And I'm concerned because one of the things in AB 130 is an extension of SB 330 by Skinner, which only allows 5 reviews of housing developments. I just looked 130 up, and this extends this notorious limitation of the public's ability to ask questions. Now, I'm going to say right now, there are some other things in this bill that are very, very concerning, especially what they're doing to the HOAs, et cetera. There may be other things that we're trying to bring in with wildfire. You know, basically, I don't have a clue what Buffy Wicks was trying to do with this bill. I really question her ability to be a competent legislator because of what she's done. But I really think that in terms of limiting the public's ability to have meetings about projects is really, really bad for California. And I resent it strongly if this is being pushed into this. Also, the part about messing with HOAs, I don't think we should be doing that at this point. But I just wanted to verify that this was one of the bills, especially with the governor behaving so strangely and just pushing it into the state budget. Those ramifications of abusing CEQA are going to come back to haunt us in the future, especially if Wiener winds up in the federal. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And now we will move to those members of the public requesting to speak virtually. I see one. San Rao, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Chow and council members. Firstly, I just want to say I'm speaking on behalf of myself as a Cupertino resident. All comments are as a resident only. I do want to point out that if these questions were addressed in the desk item, it would have been nice to know ahead of time. I learned about these responses only a few minutes ago, not had time to digest these responses. I will observe that in past cases when the city did ordinances, we did multiple study sessions to get community input before we went into a first reading of an ordinance and second reading of the ordinance. As a recent example, we did the oversized vehicle parking. We started on that effort in March or April, and it is only in October that it went into effect. And so we gave a full 6 months for what was a handful of oversized vehicles that were causing a nuisance in Cupertino, and we treated them with such delicate care and attention that it deserved 6 months. Here we have a radical set of changes that should not be compared with history because history is not this radical. They're adding significant amount of cost that can be minimized with local amendments if thoroughly researched with diligence. And instead of that, we are rushing to approve a first ordinance when we have not even had the chance to provide community input and look at and understand the responses from staff. I urge council members, please wear the hat of a senior. Council member Wong talks about people on fixed income or no income. Seniors that have lived decades that need to do a minor remodel should not end up having to install automatic centralized fire sprinklers. I believe the mayor received a letter from a resident recently in the Bub Avenue or Peninsula area that was quoted $150,000 for centralized fire sprinklers in a home where he had a 90-year-old mother and he could not even move out of the house. You cannot be doing these things. People live in their homes while they do remodels. You cannot have centralized fire sprinklers asking people to vacate their homes. Where are they going to go? Please do not move forward with this. 2 council members today could direct this item to Planning Commission. Any item could be directed to Planning Commission. You could direct it to Public Safety, I don't care. But this item needs to be viewed from the filter of cost and affordability for Cupertino residents. This is not about blindly adopting state code. As state code has gotten more and more prohibitive, it adds an affordability burden on us, and you need to research this thoroughly with diligence to look for local amendments that can bypass and give us cost relief. You cannot be adopting this. And let me remind you, you have done nothing to work with the county and the quarry to do fire management on the hillside. And so trying to put a fire retardant roof on homes when the entire county hillside can blaze because of lack of fire management.
Thank you, Sam. Mayor, no additional requests to speak on this item?
Okay, thank you. Let's bring it back to the council. So first, let's address some question. So is this the same AB 130 as the one that we know that it would have weakened the CEQA?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lengthy assembly bill, right? So that there is a small section in there that limits any code amendments that we can make that affect residential construction for the next 6 years. And so that's how it relates to the code adoption tonight. As far as the entire document and how it affects our review of residential projects entirely, I might not be the best one to talk about it. But as far as moving forward, I know that any of our amendments, we're in compliance with that. We didn't add any new amendments that we didn't already have adopted, so that was part of the requirements. And then moving forward for the next 2 code cycles, we won't be able to add any new local amendments that would affect residential construction.
And so, just to clarify, AB 130 did not include all these building code changes.
No, it just limits what we can do, what we can adopt locally.
So I see that AB 130 freezes most residential building code updates until June 1st, 2031.
Correct.
So whatever we adopt today, we won't be able to change to adopt any more restrictive, stringent code or rich code until June 1st, 2031. That's the only thing that you include from AB 130 for this muni code today.
That is correct.
Okay. That's good to know.
Through the mayor, if I might, that we can, irrespective of that, still adopt stricter standards for like home hardening for fire prevention. That is a carve out.
There are some exceptions, and it's still, we're going to get a new code every 3 years, and they're going to be a little more stringent as we go, and so that's okay. We just can't make local amendments to make it more restrictive. So we'll still get our updates from the state.
Good to know. So I think we heard the presentation from Valley Water that they will have some grant for people to deal with potential water rate increase. So for people who actually want to harden their home, even they're not renovating, is there any county or state grant program to help them with home hardening?
I'd have to defer to
comply with the new
fire chief.
I don't believe there's anything that we're aware of, but I'm sure the fire chief can speak to that for a little bit.
Mayor, Council, thank you. Great question. One of the things that we need to, that is actually in development, most of the programs are you can get funding from the state level through CAL FIRE, but that has to be organized through its own nonprofit. So through Firewise communities and other methods, that's probably the best opportunity for regional approach for us. And then also there are other programs that have been created, like for example, in Paradise, there are some local nonprofits that have created. So as need has arisen, there have been different programs that have helped, but Firewise communities are one of the best ways to collectively start working in an area to increase the fire safety levels and basically improve the entire area. So it's that regional approach.
But there is no grant from the county.
From the county?
Yeah.
That I'm aware of, no.
Okay. For example, specifically to incentivize people to update their roof.
Well, I think if you take into consideration the real way that the enforcement component to this has been insurance, your ability to obtain and retain insurance. So it's the market that's really starting to govern how this whole thing works. So there are through FAIR and some, or not FAIR, but insurance. If you can get zone 0 improvements on your home, there are insurance companies that are actually offering discounts. If you have a fire-wise community, there are discounts you can get on your insurance. So there are things that actually offset costs, and then there are other mechanisms. So currently, as far as a state or federal level funding for it, there is no program like that. They all follow under the umbrella of something else. So there are some, but they're not in terms of the level that you're asking for a state level funded, but there are some from CAL FIRE. There are a number of different programs or monies that can be obtained for these types of efforts. Usually they're tracking towards a plan that helps improve safety in a neighborhood or a local area, and there has to be a project kind of charter behind that. So there has to be structure and organization, but there is some money available.
Okay, thank you so much. Vice Mayor? Councilmember Wang, sorry. Councilmember Wang, Vice Mayor, and then Councilmember Mohan.
Thank you. I want to thank staff for putting together the presentation and the recommendations. I know it's a lot to comply quickly to these state mandates, especially unfunded state mandates. What I'm noticing here is a history and a repeated pattern of making things more expensive, more restrictive, and more and decreasing the affordability from these state laws. While there's some good safety requirements here, I do want to know, do we have any exceptions in place for grandfathering folks that have existing scenarios? And that's question one. And question two, is there any truth to the fact that we're trying to get rid of gas water heaters in this section of the code? I think there's a couple questions that the public have been asking but haven't been asked here.
We, as you remember, we got rid of our REACH code. So as far as banning gas, but yes, the energy code is requiring more to use heat pumps and be more efficient. But you can still have gas, as far as I know, in the city, and there's nothing coming down to restrict that. As far as grandfathering in certain things, I guess maybe I need a little more clarification as far as maybe some examples of what you mean.
Yeah, there's a comment about fire sprinkler systems. Like I have fire sprinklers. I had to do that for my new home, but some older homes may not have had to do that. And so if they're doing a remodel or making some changes, will they be forced to have to do the fire sprinklers for their remodel? For example, if a gas heater goes out, water heater, will they have to be forced to go onto an electric water heater? Those are the kind of the questions I think residents want to know about.
Yeah, well, the energy code is going to push you towards a more efficient water heater, so to speak. But as far as the fire sprinkler requirement and the amendments we have, you'd have to do a substantial remodel. It's 75% or more. It's just an internal policy. And then also at an existing house, when you can do an addition up to 1,000 square foot, but there's kind of this threshold of 3,600 that's in our muni code. And I believe that has to deal with, our fire personnel in the area and the trucks, to kind of maintain that size of structure. Maybe I can defer back to the chief to answer that a little more. But so there are ways, and so there's ways to get around that depending on your scope of work. So yeah, if you're going to do a massive remodel or a huge addition or something like that, there are times where it's going to trigger the fire sprinklers for an existing residence. Yeah, unfortunately.
That's okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I think that was very important. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Okay. Thank you for the question about whether or not there was some external funding to help with home hardening. I did attend Supervisor Abby Koga's fire safety summit that she held at Stanford a few weeks ago, and they mentioned Marin County. They have a 10-year parcel tax, Measure C. It was approved in 2020. It funds the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority, and a portion of that funding is dedicated to home hardening projects, and residents can receive grants and evaluations for those efforts. An exemption is available for low-income seniors. So that is what they have done up in Marin, and I want to, as I mentioned earlier, share my screen with regards to potentially having a section for appeals. So what I did is as you can see, visited ChatGPT, and I took the original ordinance that we had and the changes in the draft ordinance and AB 130, and then wanted to know in a detailed way what was above and beyond what the state required and what we have. So when I got to, let's keep going to the end. Okay, it has to deal with appeals, and it would replace your section in the draft ordinance and provide some language regarding a council appeal authority, which I believe we have currently. So this is something I would want to have staff look at and then come back to the council to see if it's reasonable, because that was the one thing that kind of got flagged in our changes, was that we are giving up some discretion authority that we don't have to. So that there was that, and then it also had this interpretive and policy authority suggestion. So there were two items that I would like to hear our the city attorney's office and our planners let us know what you think about adding this language. So it seems like if we add the correction that you mentioned to 4.106.4.2.6, the tier 2 correction, that we could adopt the recommended action with that change today, and then make a request to staff to come back with these two optional items and with a staff recommendation either way, and then we can deliberate about that in the next few months. Does that sound reasonable?
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem. Have a study session to look at it a little further, and then we can come back and make an amendment down the road, or, so, yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
I hope to clarify. So the appeal board would be, for example, someone does the remodeling, and then the building official says you need to install fire sprinkler, and maybe they disagree, then they can appeal to the appeal board. Is that to resolve dispute? It says resolving disputes concerning the interpretation or application of this title or technical codes adopted herein. Is that the intent?
I will say generally it is. I think for that particular example, we're talking about safety though, so I'm not sure for safety that's an item that could be waived.
I mean, not waiving its interpretation. Maybe their architect interpret it doesn't hit the threshold, and the city interpret it hits the threshold.
Yeah, I think in that particular example,
dispute concerning interpretation. It's not asking about waiving a requirement.
Sure. I think for that particular example, Mayor, I think there's not much room for interpretation. I think we're looking at that's a fire safety issue that we rely on the fire department to review. So it's not an interpretation. It's just a code requirement.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Just for that particular example,
Okay.
but yes.
So maybe it's possible we adopt the recommendation with a tier 2 modification and then refer this to Planning Commission to consider the two items, the appeal board, and what's the other one?
Interpretive authority.
Oh, interpretive authority. Yeah, you have a comment?
Yeah, if I may, through the mayor, if it's council desire to bring this item or a portion of it after you adopt, and certain items back to planning commission, certainly can do that. I don't think this fits particularly within the planning commission functions, but I'll leave that to the attorney to address.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
I would need to study that more to determine whether it made sense for it to go to the Planning Commission.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Also, with regards to your example, it is the Board of Appeals limits its consideration to whether the true intent of the code of the rules legally adopted have been correctly interpreted and whether the provisions of the code apply to the particular case. So it's not like they don't have to do it because we don't want them to do it or we want to give them a break. That doesn't sound like that's the intent of this at all. It's just merely to state, did you read the code properly? Did you implement the code properly? And someone, they can appeal that if they find something really procedurally wrong with your decision. But that would be it. So these would be very, I would assume, few and far between.
I've been doing this 20 plus years and never had to go to the appeals board. Not that that means anything, but it's an important thing to have just in case, right? Absolutely. The code is, we say black and white, but it's not really. There's a lot of interpretation, right? So it is nice to have a body like that. And now, currently, we do have an appeals board. I'm looking at them, but yes, this would expand that, and it is something to look at. Yeah.
Or we can authorize the appeal goes to Planning Commission rather than the council.
Well,
right.
if you read the appeals board said, and I'm not familiar with the Planning Commission people that are on that, but it has to be people that are in the industry and have a certain specific knowledge to provide an updated interpretation. What's that?
The council doesn't have that knowledge either.
Right, and so it might be a good time to set up our own appeals board, and I would be fully backing that 100%. Yeah, it's been on my to-do list, so.
Okay. Okay, so council member.
Okay. Sorry.
Council member Mohan.
Thank you. I had a very quick and easy question, hopefully. In your staff report, you talk about increasing requirements in several key areas, and you mentioned the example of the electric heat pumps, which are now the preferred option. Isn't it true, though, that that although there is a cost impact as a result of installing electric heat pumps, there is funding available for certain income level customers?
I think there are some rebate options. I mean, you always hear about them, but I'm not an expert in those that are out there. I'd have to look for that. But yeah, I would certainly hope that some of the Silicon Valley Clean Energy and these groups that we work with, our sustainability group, that there would be some.
Right, and that is who I was specifically thinking of, the Silicon Valley Clean Energy, which does provide funding for some of
help.
these. So I just wanted to make a comment on that. So thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor, you have more?
I just wanted to clarify that the council would be setting up the appeals board. We would not be the professionals on the appeals board.
Okay.
To clarify that, and then I can send this to be part of the written communications for this agenda item if the council decides that they are interested in having this come back.
Yeah, good, because I didn't want the council to consider this minute detailed interpretation of the code either. So, okay. Any other comment? Let's see if Councilmember Wang has. Okay. So then, maybe we can have a motion. Vice Mayor, would you like to make that motion?
I move the recommended action with the correction to 4.106.4.2.6 and direct staff to...
to be tier 2.
To be tier 2, correct. And to direct staff to review the language and the pros and cons of making the change to the appeals board and the interpretive authority, and I will turn in that information as written communications for this item.
Ray second. Wong second.
Okay, then that's any comment from staff? No? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Appreciate
so
it.
let's vote.
Councilmember Fruin?
Aye.
Councilmember Mohan?
Aye.
Councilmember Wong?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Chow?
Aye.
The amended motion carries unanimously.
Okay, should we take a break? And so after the
Mayor,
break,
how long-
we will
how long's the
consider
break?
item 13 first, and then 12. Yeah, Councilmember
Mayor,
Wong?
how long is the break? How long is the break?
Oh, yeah,
When-
sorry, 5 minutes. So
All right,
we'll come
thank you.
back 8:46.
Thank you.